Yo, yo, it's Monday. We back at it again. I'm getting a little better with being consistent with this. You know what I'm saying? Truck talk. You feel me? This is not my podcast. This is just me giving you guys some content. Build up the anticipation for the podcast, man. I'm gonna talk about a lot of interesting things, and one thing in particular today. I'm gonna dive into and talk about it's coaching, and pretty much the story behind how I found Morgan, and how this online thing coaching with me started. I did my first bodybuilding competition back in 2015, but prior to that, I had considered giving it a shot. My pops used to always tell me when I was a kid, growing up and then through college, that I should give bodybuilding a shot, and I never ever really took that serious. So fast forward 2013, my pops took me to go watch Generation Iron, and it really struck a chord with me. It really just became something that I decided I wanted to give a shot. So at the time, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding other than the sport. I didn't know that there were regional shows, national shows, small local shows, and things like that. So my first show was the Pittsburgh. And it's funny because a lot of people used to be like, when I decided that, a lot of people who were familiar with the bodybuilding world were curious as to why I picked that to be my first show. And I picked it to be my first show because I didn't know no other shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that time, back in 2013, 2014, I wasn't familiar with the bodybuilding world and how it worked. So, I did the Pittsburgh on my own, 2015. And I had a training partner, shout out to Harry Griggs. He was a driver with me at the time. He was the only person that I knew that had ever did a bodybuilding competition that was willing to, teach me how different bodybuilding is and how to train to be a bodybuilder. So I did the Pittsburgh 2015. I did it in 2017. I didn't do it in 2016 because I bought my house, and I prepped for it, but it was one of those things I recognized that getting my house was more important, and the money that I was spending to get my house was a lot. So I didn't compete that year, and I always questioned if I would ever do it again because how difficult that process was. And I just remember telling myself I was serious about competing the following year. So of course I did, and I did the Pittsburgh in 2017. I took second in my class both times. The first time I competed, I didn't know about the divisions. I didn't know about the open, the closed. I didn't understand the difference between the open, meaning anybody can compete in that division, and the closed division was just for Pittsburgh competitors. So my first show, I just did the novice division because I thought that's what you were supposed to do as a beginner, which was true. And I took second place 2015. I didn't do the novice in 2017 because I did it before, so I just assumed that I wasn't supposed to do it again. And that time, though, I did the open and the closed, and I came in second and third. And that was when I decided I knew I liked it, and I wanted to compete at a higher level, and I knew I needed to get a coach. So I reached out to this guy at the time who was also trying to be a professional, to help me. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he turned pro right before he initially started to help me. I went to go see him, and I just really was not familiar with this coaching thing. I got trust issues with people, so I don't really trust people all like that. And then the situation that happened with him kind of made me not really trust people even more, especially in the bodybuilding industry. But I had a situation with that coach. I reached out to him. I said, I texted him and said it's an emergency. I needed him to contact me immediately. Like, I needed an answer to a situation I was dealing with. And it took him 3 days to text me back. And by that time, I had already gotten what I needed to resolve the issue. And I just felt like he wasn't the guy for me at that point. You know what I mean? So I was about to do my third show with no coach. And I just remember getting down to those final weeks and I started to really panic a bit. And my boy Mike Huddy, shout out to Mike Huddy, kept telling me about his coach at the time, who was Morgan Rice. And I had heard of him, but I didn't really know him like that. The only person I really knew who knew him like that was my boy Huddy and another guy named Rashid. Shout out to my boy Sheed. And he was pressing me like, and I was talking to him like, man, I'm getting kind of nervous. I'm frustrated. I really don't know what I'm doing. So he reached out to Morgan for me, and then I reached out to him, and Morgan had me come to the gym to compose for him so he could see if he could help me out. At the time, I think I had about 5 weeks left until the show. And, I'm looking at him. He was with Brian Boards. He was with another guy. I think he was with Kevin. And he was with another guy named Ken. You know what I mean? He's, compared to me at the time, he's some big motherfuckers. So we go up in the posing room. Morgan takes off his clothes and he starts posing. And I'm looking at him like, he looks like he's show ready. Big as hell. He's super heavyweight, weighed over 225 pounds. Peeled, you know what I mean? So he poses. I pose for him and everybody else. And he smiles. And he goes, yeah, I can help you out. He says, but I got some good news and I got some bad news. So immediately I'm like, well, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news is we're both competing in the same show. My heart hit my nuts. I immediately started to get anxiety, like, this ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? Like, I can't have somebody coaching me who's competing in the same show. I'd heard horror stories about that. Coaches will sabotage shows to win trophies and shit like that. So, but then he followed up with, I swear to God, he said, but the good news is you're probably going to beat me. And everybody laughed and chuckled, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He was like, nah, man. He started talking to me in bodybuilding terms, just basically explaining my genetics and said he could help me and he would love to help me. And, I paid him. And he sent me my meals. And I remember when he sent me my meals and I'm weighing up my food, I got anxiety again. And I'm like, this is some bullshit. This is a lot of fucking food. And I remember texting him, telling him that this is a lot of food. I don't know if I'm questioning his expertise. He called me back. He said, dude, it's not enough. He said, it's not too much food. You got to trust me. He said, if you can't keep it 100 with me on the food, I can't help you. He said, but you got to eat the food. So on my mind, I'm like, all right, I done paid this motherfucker. I got to eat the food. So I'm eating it with an attitude. First week or so, I'm just not really trusting this, but I'm like, I got to do it. I got to see it out. And I remember a few weeks after working with him, he had me pose for him after I got done with a workout. And then he asked me to go to a Get-Go and get a steak sub with a cookie. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, bro, there's 4 weeks left to the show. You want me to go eat a motherfucking steak hoagie? Because prior to this, I didn't understand free meals. So I'm like, all right, I go do it. Sure enough, he tells me to pose from an hour later. After I eat it, I fucked it up because I hadn't had anything like that the whole prep. I didn't know you were I didn't know you could do stuff like that. Man, I had veins popping out of my arms every motherfucking where, my legs. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my body? You know what I'm saying? It was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I think this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. And also, after I posed for him, I forgot to say this. After I posed for him, he told me that he wanted me to take off from lifting and cardio until the following Wednesday. So this was a Saturday. So he wanted me to take off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and not do anything until Wednesday. I also had an anxiety attack. I'm like, dude, we're too close to the show. I can't not do cardio and I can't not train. And he's like, you gotta trust me. And I remember him telling me my legs were inflamed, and I didn't know what the fuck that meant. I'm like, fuck you mean my legs are inflamed? So I remember when I came back that following Wednesday, he had recorded a video of me posing that Saturday, and then he recorded another video of me posing that Wednesday. The separation was in my legs that I did not have that Saturday. So that was like, and that was a time where I knew, I'm like, all right, this guy's on to something. And then when he had me do that with the food after a training session one day, I'm like, all right. He helped me all the way up into the show. Sure enough, he won the super heavy. I won the light heavyweight, and I won in the overall. My third bodybuilding competition, I won an overall. Best feeling at that time in my life, besides having my kids and, you know, getting married, of course. Best feeling ever, being the best bodybuilder at a bodybuilding competition. At that point, I was hooked. And I knew I had my guy. You know, I say it jokingly, but I'm serious, but I'm joking. You know, at that point, I remember we walked backstage. He said, I told you. And he said, I can look at you and I know what to do with your body better than my own. And I said, dude, I don't give a fuck what you tell me to eat moving forward. I'm going to eat that shit. You know what I mean? I don't care about the amount, none of that. Like, he could put deer nuts in my plan. I'm going to find out where to get deer nuts. You understand? Like, I say that jokingly, but I'm serious. And I immediately trusted him even more after that. You know what I'm saying? And I really struggle with trusting people, you know, especially with, like, helping me with stuff like that. So it was very liberating that I feel like I found somebody that I could work with and I could connect with and could help me achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve. And it was such a cool feeling that what he said happened. He said I was probably going to beat him. Now imagine that. He coached me and I beat my coach in a bodybuilding competition. You know what I mean? And after that, he stopped competing. He just been putting his all into coaching. He's helped me get my pro card, as many other people as well. He's got a Mr. USA under his belt, you know. And at that time when he was training, he was only $75 a month. He's not $75 a month now. He's way more than $75 a month. But, you know, having a coach and doing online training, there has to be trust. If you don't eat what you're told to eat, it's impossible for somebody to make adjustments with things that they don't know that are going on. And speaking from my experience, I know what it's like to feel anxiety and not really trusting somebody when they're coaching you. And I also know what it feels like to really trust in somebody for them to coach you. You know, every year I see this coaching carousel. It's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. You're going to learn something different from every coach, but the base fundamentals of food and training are all the fucking same, no matter who you get to coach you. So if you have a coach, you're doing online coaching, whether it's bodybuilding or you want to lose weight, you have to trust the person you're working with. If you don't, you won't get results. I have never in my so I've been with Morgan since 2018. So that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. In my 6 years, I have never calculated the amount of calories that he puts in my plan. I have never asked him for a free meal. Never. I've never asked him for a free meal. I just do what is on the email. I eat what he tell me to eat. I train how he tell me to train. Unfortunately, these past couple years, I've been, you know, training with him. So, you know, you can't question the process. You know, And you can't be, you know, worried about free meals and cheat meals, because then you're not worried about winning the competition. If you're thinking about what you're going to eat after the show, you're not thinking about winning a competition. None of that shit matters. You know what pizza tastes like. You know what all that shit tastes like. That's a weak mentality when you want, I need a free meal. No, you need a free meal when your body tells you need a free meal. That's when you need a free meal. You don't always need it just because it's a new week. You know, you don't need a new plan because it's a new month. You don't need a new training plan because it's a new month. That's how you know somebody's coaching you. They don't know what the fuck they doing. They just doing shit to pacify you. You know what I mean? Plans don't change because the month change, you know, especially like, you know, when you're in a sweet spot, every week you're dropping a pound, you're dropping 2 pounds here or there. You're in a good sweet spot. You don't change it because it goes from March to April. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't do those things, right? You continue to push harder and continue to get the results. You know, like, and I've been doing this so long, it's always funny to me that I can relate to everybody. I know what it feels like to want a free meal. I know what it feels like to not want to take a break, not want to take a deload. I was scared as hell when he told me he didn't want me to do nothing for 3 days, and I just picked him up as my coach, and I got 4 weeks left to my show. Like, I know what it feels like. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to be good at this bodybuilding shit and you got somebody helping you, you have to listen to them. And that's a huge problem when it comes to coaching. People are paying people to do their own fucking thing, and then they're blaming the coaches, when in all reality, you're not doing a self-assessment. You probably train like a pussy. You probably don't really know how to train. You don't keep your tempo high. You don't pay attention to your rest periods. You're not challenging yourself enough. You know, you're not doing all your cardio. You're not getting your sleep. There are so many things that need to be done on your end to get the result. And it ain't always your coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may do a show and you may place in the top 3. And then the next show you place outside the top 5. And that could be just because better people showed the fuck up. It ain't got nothing to do with your coach. And y'all don't want to hear that shit though, but that's real. You understand? Like, because you can make improvements every year. You can bring your best package every fucking time and still lose. That's bodybuilding. But what are you going to do about it? You're going to bitch? You're going to moan? You're going to keep coach hopping? You done had 4 coaches in 3 years? Like, what the fuck, bruh? You ain't letting nobody learn your body. That's what coaching is. Learning your competitor and your competitor learning a style. It's like an offensive coordinator and a quarterback in a football game. If you switch offensive coordinators every year, how the fuck can you expect your quarterback to be good? Now, you have anomalies. You have people who can they're just fucking great. It doesn't matter who the coach is, like LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Michael Vick. I mean, you know, some people are just fucking athletes, and it doesn't matter who the fucking coach is. And that was just to name a few. I really can name a whole bunch more, but you guys catch my drift. You know, when you decide you want to compete in bodybuilding, find you a coach, learn how to pose, and stick with your coach. You want to find a good coach, check their resume. You know, and you're going to have to pay for a good coach. Or you're going to have to work with somebody who's going to work with you, and you got to trust them. If they say if it's not on the meal plan, don't eat it, then if it's not on the fucking meal plan, don't eat it. It's really simple. But everyone overcomplicates it. Everybody wants to, you know, do you think I should do this? No, I think you should stick to the plan until I tell you to change or adjust something. But then sometimes people get afraid and then they do their own thing, and you're not allowing the person you're paying to help you to fucking help you. Like, imagine Warren Buffett sits you down and says, hey man, I got this 10-step plan here. It's guaranteed you'll make $1 million investment if you follow these steps 1 through 10. You cannot skip a number and go to the next one. You have to do 1, then you have to move to 2. The majority of y'all motherfuckers will be like, oh, what if I already know how to do 1? What if I just skip to 4? What do you think? And it's like, How you gonna tell a motherfucker that's proven? How you gonna make suggestions? How you gonna ask somebody to help you, then tell them how to help you? How that work? If you knew what you was doing, you wouldn't need help. You wouldn't have to come to this person for help. It's the same thing in bodybuilding. Like these coaches, people like myself, competitors, I do this on the highest level. So if you come to me, let me help you. If you come to me and want to do your own thing, I'll take your bread. If you want to pay me every month, that's fine. You know, but that is how coaching works. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I really just wanted to touch on those things today because a lot of people sign up for online coaching and they don't know what they're signing up for. I can't put that fork to your mouth. I can't make you do your cardio. You know, I can't stop you if you're at an event or if you're at your cousin's house and they bake cookies and cakes and shit and you just feel the need to just, I'll just eat one. Come check-in day, you're like, fuck, I'm up 2 pounds. How did that happen? Coach, I don't know how that happened. I know how that happened. I know how that happened. You ate some shit off plan. Your body's reacting and responding to the excess amount of carbs and sodium. Your body's holding water. I know. We all know. Your body doesn't defy science. Now, sometimes are there underlying factors? Yes. Yes. But that's not all the time. Some of y'all motherfuckers just have a discipline problem. You know what I mean? But I'm headed to the gym, man. I can, that's why this is called ranting and rambling. You feel me? I could just go on and on, but I really want to listen to some music before I slide up into the gym and get to these training sessions. So, you know, you guys will catch some clips of today's training. It's a posterior day today. So I'm going to get some clips today, man. Try to put that together for you guys. And you all enjoy the rest of your day. I'm about to put on some music.